Okay guys, welcome to the Gentlemanly Podcast. Today we are talking about the rise of the gentleman villain. This is, by the way, the podcast for men who refuse to fade. It's not therapy. It isn't about pickup. This is truth, raw, unapologetic and potent. I am your host, Troy Francis. I am the author of 11 books and I've helped men with their dating lives all over the planet for the past decade or so. So, listen, the clean-cut corporate guy is invisible in 2025. No one cares. The reckless bad boy burns out over time. It's time for a third path. The gentleman villain. Dangerous, refined, emotionally intelligent, and untouchable. Okay? So, I'm going to be talking about what it means to be the gentleman villain, a new masculine archetype, and how you can lean into it and how you can use it in your own dating life in order to improve the results that you get. And I've talked before on this podcast about the power of contrast. And I've talked before about how one time I was on a date with this Ukrainian girl and I had a suit on, but I had my shirt sleeve rolled back and she could see some tattoos that I have. And she said that I looked dangerous. Now, obviously, you know, she was in no physical danger with me whatsoever because I'm a gentleman. I'm an English gentleman after all. But it was interesting that she chose to say that. And I actually took it as a compliment, you know, because clearly what I was, you know, and people are going to, I'm sure, flame me for this in the comments, but clearly what was communicated to her was this mixture of sort of refinement with something else, something a little bit more menacing, something a little bit more risky, something a little bit more, dare I use the term, sexy. And that's really what we need to go for, okay? So you don't want to be the boring, you know, 9 to 5 commuter dude. At the same time, as appealing as it is to be the motorcycle hero who rides off into the sunset and, you know, is this completely reckless, addicted, you know, guy with no prospects and no kind of structure in his life whatsoever, that's not really going to fly in any long-term kind of situation either. So you need to choose this kind of middle path, and this is what I think most guys don't do, or certainly most guys in the Anglosphere don't do. Okay, so gentleman villain, you can make out your own term for it if you like. I think that's pretty good shorthand. It's a masculine archetype that is useful to be aware of and to bear in mind as you consider your own dating life. And it's this synthesis of control, charisma, but having a very cultivated edge, okay? And in 2025, women crave this sort of guy more than ever before because increasingly they are presented with really two types of man. You've got the F-boy, who is probably not very refined, maybe a bit dumb, maybe not particularly well dressed, maybe not particularly stylish, maybe not particularly aspirational, but he looks decent, he's got a good body, he's in shape, whatever, and he's okay for a one-night thing. And then you've got the career man, who is stable, who has a good income, who has a good 401k, who makes decent money and all of those things. And that's great as well, but it's maybe not very sexy. So what is the thing that's missing in between? What's the missing piece in between? All right? And women can be fine in the short term, having short-term fun with the out-and-out bad boy, right? But they're not necessarily going to settle with that guy. That guy's not necessarily going to last very long. And then they can be fine as they get a bit older, or I say fine, they can tolerate being in a longer term relationship with the more boring, stable dude who is the wage slave, you know, who's the 9 to 5er, who's the guy who pays the bills on time and is a good boy and does everything that his masters say and does everything that society tells him to do. But where is this person in the middle who incorporates aspects of both, right? They are very, very few and far between. And if you can step into that archetype, if you can become the gentleman villain, then you are going to find that you are in a really, really great position as far as all of this dating stuff is concerned. Style, silence, a hint of menace, all right? Mystery multiplies attraction. We've talked before on this podcast about how too many guys will too readily just give up everything about themselves on the first date or the first couple of dates. You know, they just sit there and they spiel out their resume. They'd say where they want to be in the next 5 years' time. It's like a job interview. You know, they give the game away before they've even started. And that's okay. Again, if the woman is looking for the same things and she's looking for a long-term relationship. But the problem is then you're being evaluated against the other candidates, okay? Because there will be other candidates, right? She's not just going on a date with you. She's going on a date with a bunch of other guys. And some of those guys may have better qualifications. They might earn more money, okay? They might be better looking. They might be taller. They might dress better, right? They might have more. They might be more fun, okay? So what you want to be doing is leaning into the whole package, but you want to be incorporating both sides of the equation, right? So there used to be this phrase, alpha fucks beta bucks, okay? Which basically is kind of crude way of putting it, but basically means that the alpha bad boy stereotypical guy is the more sexually attractive, whereas the beta guy, who is the good guy, and the more stable guy is the one who, you know, pays the bills and the one who gets the spoils of marriage and so on at the end. Why not try to be somewhere in the middle, okay? Because this is what women really want, okay? They don't actually want to be saddled with the boring ass dude who has worked in accounts for 15 years and, you know, is kind of stable and sensible but hasn't really got much going on for him. They also don't, contrary to popular belief, they don't really want the drug they don't really want the drug-addled maniac who's going to cause problems for them in their lives for any length of time either, really, okay? But if you can combine a little bit of the two, and this is both in terms of the way you come across, your presence, the way you talk, the way you hold eye contact, everything that you emanate from your body, from your speech, from the manner of your speech, the tone of your voice, your topics of conversation, how you engage, how you draw her into the interaction, how do you create this bubble around the two of you where it's almost only the two of you in the universe. If you're able to do all of that, then suddenly she feels, wow, this guy is different. This guy is amazing. This guy has something that other people don't have. He combines a bit of both of the things that I'm looking for, and that's when it's going to stick, okay? And a lot of guys who come to us, for a start, they're actually looking for a girlfriend, all right? And if you want to find a girlfriend, then that's about retention. You know, it's not just about meeting her and attracting her. You want her to hang around for a period of time, okay? How are you going to do that? Well, you're going to do that by incorporating these different characteristics. And secondly, even if you are looking for something more casual, this is just a more attractive way of doing it anyway, okay? Moral independence. Let's talk about moral independence for a second, all right? You are the only arbiter of your behavior. You do not necessarily follow the guidelines of society. You do not follow the path that others set out for you, all right? And this is why I talk about the importance of not just giving away the farm as soon as you sit down for the first date, right? It's not about going along with the societal program and just indicating to her that all you want to do is go along with the societal program, because then you're not a challenge, right? You're no challenge whatsoever. And if women like anything, it is a guy who is a challenge, okay? And what kind of a challenge are you if you just immediately accede to all of her demands, right? Everything she wants, yes, I want that too. Box tick, box tick, box tick. Again, we were talking in a previous podcast about how it's in friction, okay? It's actually in disagreement, if you like, that attraction is created. It's not in concord, or it's not in this sort of frictionless coming together of views and ambitions and identities. It's actually in the contrast that the attraction is created. So something to bear in mind, having your own code by which you live, and living mythically. You know, think about Baudelaire, think about James Bond, think about the art of refined rebellion, okay? You are not just some cookie cutter buffoon who works in a cubicle and buys his lunch at an Asian takeout where you get everything served up in Tupperware and you get a pair of chopsticks in a paper carrier, right? You're not just another identikit city worker. You are something else. You are something mythical. You are something different. You are something dangerous. You are something intriguing, magnetic, and mysterious, okay? You are an entity unlike any other that she has met before. If you can achieve that level of masculinity, if you can achieve that level of polarity, if you can bamboozle her with the force of your personality that comprises both of these elements that she wants, okay? The guy who is unpredictable, who can be reckless, who is not always what she thinks he's going to be, but who also has the power to have stability and to provide and to be there for her when she needs you emotionally. If you can combine both of those things, then you really are going to win out in the game in a way that most other men won't. So, be the gentleman villain, okay? Think about it. Think about creating contrast. Think about not playing by the rules. Think about playing that middle ground between the super, super nice guy and the guy whose whole raison d'etre is, fuck this, I'm going to live this life that I only have one chance at in the way that I want to live it, okay? So, with that being said, if you want to stop playing small, if you want to build real power in the dating world, become the kind of man who can navigate love, business, seduction, and strategy without apologizing, then join the Gentlemanly Substack for weekly articles. Go for the paid option so you get all of the articles. We'll be starting at Gentlemanly Community very soon, so look out for more information on that. If you want to do some one-on-one coaching with me about any of the stuff that we talked about, and particularly the dating and romance issues, then drop me an email at troy@troyfrancis.com. You can also just DM me on any of my social platforms, X and Instagram being the main ones. Put your WhatsApp details and we can jump on a call and discuss, and we'll take it from there. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye.